You were born free, and it's time to remember who you were meant to be.
Welcome. My name is Crystal Andrus Morissette, and I'm the founder of the SWAT Institute, Simply Woman Accredited Trainer. We are an empowerment coach certification program in over 45 countries, and we are exclusively for women. You know, we're headed now into our 10th anniversary on March 8th, 2019. But I remember way back before we'd even built the school, and I was telling people what I wanted to call it, Simply Woman Accredited Trainer, SWAT. And they said, what a masculine sounding name. Why would you want to do that for a program that's exclusively for women? And I said, because we are the new special weapons and tactical, and we are going to help heal this world. In fact, I remember in 2009, the Dalai Lama came to Canada, here where I live. We're actually a Canadian company. And he told a sold-out summit, it was the Vancouver Peace Summit, that the Western woman will heal the world. And I believed him, not because women in Eastern countries are not as enlightened or as wise or as smart or as motivated, but because we women in Western countries have opportunities right now that women around the world don't have. And we are being called right now for us to step into our power and for us to lead the way for women in countries where they aren't yet even considered a person under the law. They can't vote. They can't even drive a vehicle. So although we are not about that, and we are certainly not anti-man, we right now are empowering women in over 45 countries. It's absolutely magnificent. So I want to tell you a little bit about our personal empowerment coach certification, why it's called a personal instead of maybe professional empowerment coach, and the difference between this personal empowerment coach certification and our master empowerment coach certification. Also, at the end of this short video, I'm going to make you an irresistible offer that I hope you can't refuse to get started with us April 15th. So we actually offered the Personal Empowerment Coach certification as a graduating class for the first time in January of 2019. Up until that time, we'd always just offered it as an evergreen program, meaning if you contact us today and you want to get started, we can enroll you today and you can move through the lessons that are all recorded at your own pace. Now don't worry, they're not just recorded. You also have access to chat with me and to chat with our professor of coaching, Isabella Viskapova, every week. The difference with this program that is so exciting that we did in January and the women are raving about it, and what we used to do is that now every week, beginning April 15th, I, at 2 p.m. Eastern on Mondays, literally say, this is what we're doing this week. This is what you need to cover. This is the many chapters we need you to read. These are the lessons we need you to get through. Ask me questions. Let me give you a sneak peek into what really matters, what we're really looking for. Let's get you moving through this program fast, effectively, efficiently, with confidence, and so that you're going to graduate in less than 6 months, maybe even 3 to 4 months if you can really keep up, with a group of other like-minded women who have joined this program from all over the world. So why do we call it personal empowerment coaching versus, say, professional coaching or something like that? Because this is literally helping a person in any area of their life. This is helping that person personally. So it's not so much that you would say to yourself, oh, I don't need the personal empowerment coach certification versus, say, our master, because I've done personal work on myself. That's not what this is about. The difference between a personal empowerment coach and a master is that our master empowerment coaching program takes into every aspect of somebody's life. We actually really get into the business module where we really teach you the business behind the business. We get into your physiology. We teach you in module 1 of our master program, nutrition and psychology and women's health and wellness. You have assignments and quizzes. It's just a much deeper, more comprehensive program. Whereas our personal empowerment coach certification lasers in and fast tracks the coaching process, the empowerment coaching process. So it is lasered in on helping you recognize and identify the different interventions and processes that you can do with your clients. If you've got 10 minutes, hang out right now and take a sneak peek at the very first class we did for our last graduating group program. You'll be able to get a better pulse on what it is that I'll be doing with you every Monday at 2 p.m. And again, if you can't make the calls live, you can always watch the replay and you'll feel like you're with us live. So let's go into Module 1. And in Module 1, you're going to see that we are really focused on coaching from the body and not from the head. You're going to learn a lot about how to really access your intuition is within your body. I believe your greatest self, your greatness is almost like the best way that I would say is, and again, some of you have known me or have done my courses for years, and you may have heard me share this little story years ago. I'm laying in the backyard. I look up at this pine tree, and I'm, for the first time in my life, completely and utterly fascinated by the fact that there are probably thousands, hundreds of thousands, possibly pine cones on that pine tree. And yet, most of them will never have the potential to blossom into their greatness. Why? Because they don't have the right environment. So if a pine cone is given the right environment, the right soil, the right amount of water, the right amount of sunshine, the right amount of room to grow and expand and become empowered, the pine cone doesn't have to do anything special except just be given the right environment and it will blossom. Each one of us have, like a pine cone, it's your greatness, it's your potential, it's who you really are. You could call it your soul, your spirit, your highest self, and it's contained within you. And I always say, how do you know where it's contained? Point to yourself right now. Point to yourself. Where would you point? If I were to say, where are you? Where are you? Where would you point? Okay, is anyone, yeah. Like, does anyone go, here I am. Hi, come right there. We don't. We say here because this is who you really are. And there's a power and a strength and a greatness inside of you. And if you give yourself the right environment, you too will blossom. And what you're doing for your clients is you are, again, recognizing that if someone, we're going to go through these, if someone is resonating is a word you're going to get comfortable with if you're not already, in a lower level of consciousness. For example, if someone was resonating down here, I've changed my chalkboard so I get more writing in now. So if someone was resonating in shame, okay, let's imagine that is at the lowest bottom. That is literally like the lowest level of consciousness. And we're going to get into that based on the map of empowerment, which your number one most important thing for the next month is to focus on this book. Power versus Force. Power versus Force. Dr. David Hawkins. And this is probably the most important concept of empowerment coaching. There's so much that's going to make you an incredible coach. There are so many special interventions, processes, questions to ask, things to look for, things to listen for, things that they're not saying. Listening to what is not being said. All of that is what's going to make you an incredible coach, and we're going to spend time helping you fine-tune this. Does anyone else have any question for me for today? I know it's our very first class. Yes, Gina Maria, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. It was great to see you sign up yesterday. Yay!
God, I had 500 other things before that, but So my question is, do you ever have people that just jump? I mean, by the time they get to you, they've been in their whatever it is, their grief or their shame or their whatever, for so long that you start with them and you see them just...
You mean they just soar fast?
Like jump through the roof,
Yeah, so here's what I would say though. Have you ever heard the saying about relationships that if they start too fast, they fizzle out fast? Have you ever heard that saying sort of like, when someone's like, I fell in love, oh my God, I'm in love, I love him so much, I love him, we're going to get married next week, I'm so much in love.
Okay, stop. I'm hearing hormones.
I'm going to say the same thing. Is sometimes when someone is first exposed to empowerment coaching, and they first all of a sudden recognize and who they get like, really, oh my God, but what I would rather say to that person is, it's like a dimmer switch on the dining room wall. Right now, you've just remembered the brightness of who you are. You've just remembered, oh my God, where I can be. But we all have bookends. You're going to learn about that in the coming weeks. We all have bookends. So let's say that person has been resonating down here in, say, apathy. They've been stuck. They have a bookend that goes to here. Most people have their bookends, like they get from apathy up to anger. And they just sort of move up and down a few levels and down a few levels and up a few levels and down a few levels. And they never really get up to a high level and sustain it. So what we try to do with our clients is shift the bookends, because no one is ever static. No one ever gets to love and stays in love ever. Like when you can reach that point, you are very empowered. Like where nothing can rattle you. Nothing can take away. Right? So when we can get to that point, but most people have bookends. So even though that person may seem like they jumped really fast in their bookend, they will slide back down. And that is why the work that we do is constantly, is not too much locked in on the past, but is locked in on the bookend. And what we have to do is shift the level of consciousness, and then we keep bringing them back. Go ahead.
Got it.
Yeah.
I read this book about 10 years ago, maybe more. So it was for
Power versus Force. It really is quite brilliant, and really like you know, there's so many other, even like in the spiritual world, like Abraham Hicks. If you guys follow Abraham Hicks at all, it's always like, just pivot out of that emotion and go choose a better one. Well, ours isn't quite so easy, as we don't believe in pivot out, because pivot out is like just jump to where you want to be, where we are more shift higher. So I'm going to show you one more thing, and then I won't be on too much longer today. But I'm going to get a much better thing for next week. But what I will say is, if somebody comes to me and they're in, let's stay with shame, because that's what we're working through right now. Shame, and here's the thing, we all have shame. And until you've done the work, most of us are carrying shame about something. There's somewhere we have shame. There's something that happened. There's something we did or didn't do. There's something that happened to us, and there's a story around it. So shame is a story that I would say, you know, what happened that made you feel this way? What's happened to make you feel so embarrassed? What's happened to make you feel so ashamed? And I would allow that person to stay in it and to really explore it and to talk about it. And then but I'm a big storyteller, and you're going to learn about that too, the art of telling stories, to pull, especially when they're down here. Because when people are down here in shame and guilt, they're not doing a lot of talking, unless they're just talking nonstop about their same story over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Because even to get out of shame, they have to get into apathy, which is sort of a sense of where you start blaming. Now, here's the thing. If I can, in the first call, at least get someone from shame to blame, well, that's better. Shame is who I am is no good. Whereas if you can actually get someone up to at least blame, it's like, tell me who did this to you. And then they feel better about themselves. Yeah, it's not my fault, it's their fault. Yeah, and I'm not going to leave them there. Can you imagine if you only ever had one coaching call with someone? You'd be like, well, I got you out of shame and to blame, and now you blame everyone else. But here's the truth. It is more empowered to blame other people than to blame yourself when you're down here, because shame is just so much self-loathing. So if you can at least get a person saying, right, there's so much self-loathing and judgment and who I am is no good and why. And then if I can just say, so what is it that you wished you did or didn't do instead? That actually shifts them into guilt. And you're going to learn all these questions. And then the guilt might be legitimate or illegitimate. The guilt might be, you know, I just feel like I just wish I could have, or I should have, I could have, I ought to have. And then I just let them, like, who do you blame for this? Tell the truth. Don't worry. It doesn't make you, you're not someone on Jerry Springer. I would say to someone very quietly, it's not your fault. Because when someone's down here, you're not being the quarterback, the coach for the Super Bowl. You're not screaming at your athletes right now. Do you get that? When you're at the Super Bowl, I try to explain this. I have clients that are so powerful that I have to yell at them because they're like the quarterback at the Super Bowl. What the fuck are you doing? And I would only do that if someone was so ready for it. If they were so ready for it and it would just give them the, come on, let's get this done, I would be that coach for that person. But if most people are down here, could you imagine me yelling at somebody when they're down here?
No.
Why? So all I would say is, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Who do you blame for this? 99% of the time, it's going to be mom or dad. The odd time, it's an ex. But that's just what it is. You're going to start to learn that. Most people, when you really say, who do you blame for this? They'll be like, my mom. And good, that's great. Let's do some inner child work. Let's do some healing work. Let's look at the relationship that you had growing up. Let's look at the should have beens, could have beens, and ought to have beens. Let's look at what should have been there for you. Who should have protected you? Why were you not protected? All of this you're going to learn. I don't want to freak you out and teach you like you're going to learn all this in the first class, but these will be powerful. And then you know what's so beautiful? If you have children, if you have employees, you'll be so shocked at how these beautiful processes just come out so easily with your loved ones even. You know, why don't you write that person a letter that you're never going to send and just tell them what could have been and should have been and ought to have been. And instead of sending it to that person, send it to me. I want to validate. I want to read what you've been through. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about spelling. Don't worry about, just send it to me. And if that's all you did in one call, that person just feels so validated. They feel heard. They're not ashamed. You're listening. You're loving. You're compassionate. That person, you're building them in their level of consciousness. By the time they got off the phone, they feel seen. They feel heard. They feel listened to. And before you know it, you're moving them up into their fear. You're moving them up into desire. You're moving them up into higher levels of consciousness where all of a sudden they're able to see that if I'd never been wounded, who could I be? If I'd never been wounded, who could I be right now? If I had parents that just totally believed in me and told me I could be anything, do anything, have anything, who would I be right now? Well, all of a sudden you're reawakening their greatness. You're reawakening their gold. You're reawakening their potential. So part of what you're doing with this work is, yes, you're going to be able to do this. And believe me, sometimes you're going to decide at the end of this, you might be like, here's the truth. I don't want to work with the clients that are way down in the shame and guilt and blame and mock. That's just not who I want to work with. You're going to realize at the end of this that some of the women that you coach might be millionaires. Some of the women you coach might have PhDs. Some of the women you coach, and the great news is you're going to be so confident that it won't matter. Even if you have no post-secondary education, by the time that you're done with this, you could get a client who is a millionaire and you'll feel like, I know what I'm doing. Because they might be a millionaire when it comes to that, but they really need some empowerment when it comes to that area over there. And you will know how to do it. So hopefully that gave you a little taste of how fun it is. We're going to do this every week for 12 weeks. We're going to move you through the Personal Empowerment Coach certification together. And if you need longer, you have up to 12 months to complete it. This is just going to help you move with the rest of the women that are in the program. So it's just really helps for accountability and motivation. But you're not being tested on all your assignments. You're not being tested at the speed that you move through it. It's really just making sure that you have a deep understanding of the empowerment process. Here's what I want you to know. This program isn't just to become an empowerment coach. You can use what you've learned in this program in every aspect of your life. If you're already professional, we have lawyers, we have therapists, we have chiropractors, we have nurses, we have medical doctors. We even had someone with their doctorate in psychology take this program. So I know that it's going to help any professional in every field, because it just gives you better communication skills, better listening skills, and the ability to help anyone feel more empowered. And let me tell you something, when you can help someone feel empowered and feel amazing in their own skin, you have made a friend for life. You have made a client for life. You are making a difference in this world. Maybe you're ready to launch your own 6-7 figure income as an empowerment coach. We have graduates who are doing just that. Not that we can say everyone's going to make $1 million, but you have the opportunity with the skill set that you're going to learn to create a lucrative career that you love, that you can take with you anywhere you go. I think it's amazing whether I'm at home and I jump on my laptop and I coach someone, whether I'm down in Mexico or Aruba or over in Italy, as long as I have Wi-Fi and I can get access to my computer, I'm able to do what I do. So I don't want this video to be too much longer. I want to make you an irresistible offer that you can't refuse. Get started with me and an amazing group of like-minded women who are just like you on April 15th. This course normally sells for $2,995 Canadian. That's quite a bit less American, but $2,995 Canadian. But you're not going to pay that because March 8th is International Women's Day. It's also the 10-year anniversary of the SWAT Institute. 10 years. I can't believe that. Amazing. So we have a really special offer for you. Get started this month and save $1,000. Get started for $1,995. And if you need a payment plan, you give us a holler because we'll take care of you. So $1,995, you are going to make a decision that is going to change your life. Some of our graduates say things like, this program was epic, monumental, life-changing. I so hope you'll join us. $1,995 Canadian. That's probably $1,500 American. Let's do this. Let's help heal the world. Let's make a difference. Let's you become your most empowered self, and then let that ripple out effect change all of the lives that you touch. I hope to see you April 15th. Bye for now.
You were born free,